probably say like a blue one or something.
Stop it, Lincoln!
Lincoln, what are you doing?
I want it now!
Okay. If this is how you're gonna behave.
What's up?
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Did you watch the thing this morning?
I did. I always do it from Facebook. I don't go into Zoom.
Yeah, I do too.
From Facebook because I can listen without waking people up.
Yep. Hold on 1 second. I got a client kid. Oh, ready?
Oh yeah, I meant to tell you. I asked you about the Shift book. I downloaded it on Audible.
Okay.
Yeah, so I got it that way.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah, I had a free Audible download, so
Yep.
I just figured I'd do that.
Yep, sweet.
And I try to listen to it at night, trying to put myself in a zone where I can go to sleep. That's been my problem, insomnia.
Yeah.
For some reason. Hello.
I hear you. What's up?
Uh-oh. I guess Zoom doesn't work as well when you're on the phone, huh? Like when you're moving.
It just depends on the connection. I think you got to have a pretty solid connection so the video streams right.
Yeah.
Just like a FaceTime or something.
Right. When I'm in certain rooms in the house, it doesn't work.
Yeah. How you doing, Sarah Jane?
Hey.
Hey. Sorry, I didn't mean to join with video. I'm trying to get into a house and put a latch on a thing for a closing and a walkthrough at 9, and I'm like, ew, I still want to do my call.
Closing at 9 is good.
Yeah. We'll walk through at 9 and then 2 closings at 10.
Awesome.
Sweet. 2 closings at 10, huh?
Yeah.
How are you going to be in 2 places at once?
Well, I'm not going to either, so one's a mail away anyway.
Solves that.
It's like, yeah, there we go. We'll be all right. So I've had the same repairman out here 3 freaking times to do the same job.
That's always lovely.
I know. I'm like, can you just do it the right way the first time?
Always lovely.
I thought this morning's call was really good, though.
Yeah.
It was.
Lots of energy.
Yep.
It was helpful. Yesterday, the calls I made, I didn't get any referrals, but I wasn't really even asking it. I honestly called people. What I was doing yesterday is calling people that sent me referrals, whether they worked out or not. And a lot of them ended up, they're small business owners, so ended up giving them a little bit of information on the SBA and just checking out the page and stuff. And they were very appreciative of that. So
yeah, It's awesome.
That's cool.
Good morning.
Good
What's up, Richard?
morning.
Richard's back.
We missed you yesterday, Richard.
Yeah, we had I had 4-month checkup yesterday.
Gotcha.
Mm.
Cool. Hope that went well.
Yeah, and the shot. Collins did pretty good with the shots.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
she cried a little bit, but afterwards she was done. I mean,
Yeah,
she's a trooper.
it's awesome.
Awesome.
Samantha does well now. She didn't start out doing very well, but my son has just always been like, one time I told him, like, you got to be a tough guy and just like take the shot and be tough. And so that's his thing now. Like every time he gets a shot, he's like, I'm a tough guy. Give it to me. And then they give it to him. He's like, I'm tough. I'm tough. I'm tough.
That's funny.
So what have I missed this morning, y'all? What have y'all talked about?
Not much yet. We were kind of waiting for people to jump on. But we were just talking about how it was pretty good content this morning. Were you on the call this morning, Richard?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Cool. Sarah Jane is officially with us now. The license
That's
is
awesome.
officially moved over now.
Awesome.
Is that who Sirius is?
Yep.
That's
What's up,
me.
Sarah? Do you not have your oh, you do have your face on this morning.
Got my
You gotta
face
walk through.
on.
Your video wasn't on there for a minute.
Screw his ball lashes. Like,
She's
okay, this is my
fixing-
kitchen stool thing.
fixing the door real quick.
Gotcha.
The lengths we go to at
Awesome.
a walkthrough for our clients, right?
Yep.
Welcome to
Yeah,
something where
God.
agents fix their own repair requests.
Listen, there's this agent here, and she talked to, she was the agent of one of my agents before she became an agent. That makes sense?
Yep.
Okay. So she was talking about, like, when my agent first got into doing stuff, she was like, well, we can help them do like this and this and this. And she's like, oh, I never do repairs myself. You better talk to your good buddy, Sarah Jane. If I have to screw 2 freaking screws in for closing at 10 because nobody else will do it, hell yeah, I'm going to do a repair.
2 screws.
2 screws. Just it.
So, what's up, Lori? Lori's face
Morning.
isn't on this morning yet,
I'm here.
huh? So, what did everybody think of this morning? What were the takeaways?
I think it's pretty cool because I could relate that you really do. Like for me, I can get in my head and I get stuck there more than actually putting things into action. And so like half the battle is just like getting the thought and then not sitting on it and just acting on it. And I think that's where people get stuck sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think one of the things that I think would have been cool if you highlighted was like 281 is like one of the last pages in the book. So it's kind of like okay, you read this, you know what to do now. Now go out there and do it at the speed that you need to do it at.
That gave me a lot, that comforted me a lot, because I'm switching everything. I'm trying to switch the database, and I have like listings I need to get back in and uploaded to some kind of command, and then there's a DocuSign room, and there's all the, and I don't know how to use DocuSign. It's like a foreign language, and it's really frustrating, but then the time is clicking for the thing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't do it all. And I was like, it's just overwhelming. And I was into a head yesterday, and so for him this morning to say, like, just go at the speed you need to go at, I'm like, okay, cool. I can just do one thing at a time.
Yep. Well, if it's comforting at all, none of us really know how to use DocuSign very well yet because we're all in the same boat right now. So
I can't figure out how to put, like, I can't figure out how to get to the page that you put signatures on. Like, if I could just get to that page, I'm sure I could use it.
Well, we are putting all of the videos from the trainings up on YouTube, and I can send you links to the ones that you'll need to do that.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Absolutely. One of the other things, just while I had the book open to 281, I just saw this quote on 280 that it says that I was visiting with a real estate agent, and as I truly got a sense of what he was capable of, I made this comment. I think you're a $50 million a year producer masquerading as a $10 million a year producer. And he was shocked and asked what he meant. And he said, all I mean is that you appear to have amazing potential, but you're thinking and acting like a $1 million producer. I told him he was underperforming because he was underacting. I said, if you want to grow to the next level, you better start acting your wage. Not acting your wage, he's acting your wage.
Nice.
Heck.
And I thought it was cool too how he talked about take a look at the 12 issues and based upon your business goals and current situation, prioritize them by asking this question. If I could do just one of them, which would make the biggest difference in my business? Write down the answer. That's your first priority. Then ask, if I can only do one more, what would that be? And write down that answer and keep doing this until you've written down all 12 issues in a priority list. You have your marching orders. So I thought that was pretty easy instruction. Because that's one thing in this book, after you read a book, at least for me, after I read a book, a lot of times I just read the book and it just goes back on the desk and then I don't really do much from it.
Yeah.
So this is an actual instruction manual of like, okay, so now that you read this, pick one of the 12 and do that. And then once you get that figured out, pick another one of the 12 and do that. So
I asked Scott Taylor about how he gets how he does note taking while he's reading. And he actually does it while he's reading. What I used to do is I would just highlight stuff, and then once I got done with the book, then I would, write my notes up. But then I started realizing all I was writing up was just the highlights, and I'm like, what was I thinking when I highlighted this? And so I just started after every chapter or every, section or whatever, I just literally write down the section and I just write down what I thought, what I was thinking when I read that. And then also, like if I highlighted something, I'll paraphrase it or I'll just, copy that as well and put that down. And especially if it's like a good quote, like I'm reading the 360 Leader by John Maxwell. And John Maxwell, that all he does is like blast you with quotes nonstop. It's like his books take me forever to read because I'm like highlighting so daggone much, and but it's that's been helping me out a lot, like flipping back, because this book is the first time I started doing this because I was really unsure to read this or not because I'm on track. I'm 6 books in on the year, and this was my first book of April. And I'm like, do I really want to get behind reading a John Maxwell book? And this has actually helped me out a lot to keep moving forward.
Yeah, that's cool. I've started doing that with things that are recorded, like some of these Zoom meetings, and when I would go to like a training and record part of it, I would look at where my something that happened. I would look at where my recording screen was and write down the time of the recording. So I'm like at 17 minutes and 47 seconds. Here's my notes from that, and then when I go back and rewatch it, I can remember what I was thinking. Like I know that's the point to go back and rewatch. So I don't have to go back and rewatch the whole hour-long thing to take my takeaways. I can just go back and watch that little 10-second snippet.
That's smart.
Speaking of recordings, I lost all of my recordings from family reunion last year and the last Gene Rivers class that I went to. I don't know what happened to my voice recorder app, but it completely wiped everything out.
Man,
and on that was this great class that I went to at family reunion with Diana Kokoska that was just like I mean, it was like the best thing I've ever sat in on. It was just so powerful, and I don't have it anymore.
Man, that sucks.
I'm super pissed.
Back up, huh? That sucks.
Yeah, I mean, this hasn't happened to me before on this app. I don't know what happened. And then I emailed them like they say they did, and then they sent back some gibberish Chinese stuff, and I'm like, yep, don't think I'm getting this back.
That sucks.
Oh.
What were some other takeaways? What did you think, Lori? Were you on it? Did you listen to it this morning?
Yes, I did. I think the biggest thing for me was, if you want to be efficient and effective, you got to keep things simple. I think sometimes I overthink, and that's the educator in me coming out, and I just need to stop, think, and go. So that's my goal today.
Sweet.
Man, I think a lot of I kind of think of like that, like foundation and creative, like like swinging a baseball bat, like your hitting technique. I'm a big Atlanta Braves fan, and like Freddie Freeman, he preaches all the time that he starts off on the tee, right? I mean, this is a perennial all-star in the MLB, and every single, batting practice he starts off on the tee. And, you have kids that are like, hate the tee. They're like, oh, I'm a big kid now. I don't need to hit off the tee, right? I mean, here's a major league all-star, played in the playoffs. I mean, he's one of the best of the last decade, and he starts off with the tee, so I think it's important to, like you said today, is like people, what was it on page 282, everyone moves at the speed of their need, and you get your speed from your big why. And I remember when I first moved here, I had an newer agent. She asked me, why do I, come and lead generate every single day consistently like I do? And I'm like, because that's my job. That helps me get to my big why. And that's, what I need to do to get business, to get leads, and to provide for my family. And then not shortly after that, we went to a Gene Rivers class, and Gene Rivers is not as nice as Gary Keller or James Shaw is. He
gut him like a fish. Just gut him like a fish.
He will tell you like the way it is. I love this. I love Gene Rivers. I mean, he pretty much tells you, he's like, dude, if you're not lead generating, what the hell are you doing in the business? I mean, that's exactly what he'll ask you. Like, what are you doing in this business if you're not lead generating? You're wasting time. You're taking away transactions from people that are actually working every day, right? You're not doing your clients a service. You're actually doing them a disservice. What are you doing? And it's funny because that same agent went to that class, and she was sitting a few people down from me, and I looked at her and smiled, and I said, now you know.
That is incredible. I love that he's like, he would ask them, like, not only are you not doing your job, but you're taking away from people that actually do know how to do their job. Like, that's tough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that guy's awesome.
Yeah.
Love it.
If Gene Rivers, I'm not sure if you've seen him or not yet. I know you're just switching over to KW, but if you have not seen him yet, watch him on KW Connect. I mean, he's good on KW Connect, but I mean, he is just so hilarious in person. Like, he just says stuff that you're just like, did you really just say that? And then you just start laughing.
So excited.
After you think about what he'd said, you're like, oh shit, that was funny. like that was hilarious.
I cannot wait. I cannot wait.
Gene Rivers is probably my favorite person in the KW family. That guy is awesome. He is really good. So if he does a lot of regional classes that you do have to pay for, or you can get Matt in the office to pay for it somehow. And but you definitely, Gene Rivers is a must go. he's in the Carolina region, if he's in Atlanta, like if he's in Jacksonville, I would drive 4 hours to go see that guy.
Yeah, he was actually
I
supposed
stay out
to.
of Atlanta.
He was coming to Charlotte like right when all this broke out.
Yep.
And the region called him and asked him if he wanted to do it by Zoom, and he's like, Zoom? I'm flying there. I'm not worried about it. And he's a pretty old guy now. He's like, virus isn't going to take me out. But they're like, no. Like, we're not going to have that many people together. And he's like, that's fine. But he's like, I can't do it by Zoom. Zoom's just, you can't get the full effect. I'll just come back. So he's like, he'll be one of the first people back when all this is, kind of passed through.
And you better be there.
I have seen him on Zoom. And actually he was on one of the regional, the 11:30 there's an 11:30 call every day. It's called the Carolina Thrive. And he was on that a little while ago. Cody Gibson was on it yesterday, and that dude is also phenomenal. And that's on the regional calendar, but I can post that on our page too. They initially invited just leadership, and then they invited the top 100, and they just said, just forget it, just open it up to everybody. Whoever wants to come can come. They didn't have enough Zoom spots for it, and then they just added on to their account. So they're like, whoever, come on.
So that's at 11:30 Eastern Standard Time.
Yep, 11:30 every day. It's just a regional thing. So Mark Brennan leads it.
Dude, Mark Brennan is awesome.
Yeah,
Wait, what is it?
It's called the Carolina Thrive Call. It's 11:30 to 12 every day, and he's usually got a pretty powerful guest on there. Like he had Stephen Cooley on there once. He had Cody Gibson on there. He had Gene Rivers on there. I can post a link to the recordings. They're pretty powerful. It's like a half an hour. Cody Gibson's awesome. Richard, have you ever seen Cody Gibson speak?
Yeah. I've gone to 2 of his breakout sessions at Family Reunion.
Yeah. You want to talk about a expansion team? That dude has an expansion team that I would tell somebody to join. That guy, he's always dressed to the nines. He's always got something good to say. He's always real. That's pretty good.
He's a good-looking dude.
He's a good-looking dude. Yeah.
Definitely makes me jealous seeing that guy on the stage. All the ladies' mouths are dropped and watery.
Yeah. He's based out of Portland, Oregon. But I don't know how many states he's in. He has a big expansion team, that spans multiple states. So, what everybody else think? Is there any other thoughts about this morning, or just in general?
I got a couple things. I loved who you hang out with matters. So I wanted to say I'm very appreciative of you guys being on here every morning, being consistent. I think this is very good for us, in this time in isolation. A lot of people are struggling mentally. Depression and all that stuff is kicking in. Like this call with you guys just definitely has been springboarding me into being successful and consistent and doing my activities every day. So I just wanted to thank you guys on that.
Absolutely. Thank you guys too. I'd say the same thing.
And then I also liked at the end, I cannot remember who said it. It wasn't James Shaw, but it was a gentleman. He said, a mistake is not a mistake until something happens. And I have not heard that saying before. I love that because I'm a big believer in you don't fail until you quit. And on page 282, James Shaw, I think, brought up, you fail your way to success. And then I haven't heard it said this way. You really aren't failing. You're learning how to succeed. And one of my buddies, David Seabour, I'm not sure if you know him. He's an agent in Charlotte. He made a Facebook video like a week or two ago that actually Dick Dillingham quoted on a video that a Zoom call that I was on about 2 weeks ago. And David Seabour said he was watching his son. His son's about 3-4 years old, beating himself up, like falling and all this stuff. And what does he do? The kid keeps getting back up, right? He doesn't, not stop trying to get up and walk and things like that. He keeps getting up, no matter how many scrapes, no matter how many bruises, no matter how much he bleeds, he still gets back up, right? We're not getting any scrapes. We're not getting any bruises. We're not bleeding for what we're doing unless if, Sarah Jane over there does something while she's doing some repairs, But I mean, really, at the end of the day, maybe our ego might get bruised, right? But what are we really risking with what we do for a living, right? We're not really risking our physical well-being except for sitting at the table and getting fat like me, But other than that, it's like we just got to get out of our own head, and like Laura said, we just got to simplify things and just get into action, and just get into action. Like that's the biggest thing. I mean, I know, like, when I first moved here, I was just on fire. I was like, man, I'm going to take over this small town, like, I'm coming from a big city, I'm going to be able to run circles around these agents. And then I get here in 6 months, I haven't sold a house. And I'm like, what the hell is going on right now? Like, this is ridiculous. And then my ego got hit. Like, I mean, 2018, no, not 2018, 2017. I mean, I was beaten up. I was like a puppy roaming the streets, just ego bruised and hurt and I've been here for going on June 1st will be 4 years that I've been here, and I just capped for the first time. And, that was definitely a boost for me, because my last 2-3 years that I was in Florida, I was capping every year.
Yeah.
And I say that 3-4 years, right? Well, I started my business in 2011, and then I started capping in 13, 14, 15. Well, guess what happened? I got here, it's almost same trajectory. My first year I sold $1 million. My second year I sold just under 2 million. And then last year I sold just over 2 million. And this year I've already sold 1.6. And so it's like, you got to be real with yourself. I mean, you can't, and you can't compare yourself. And I'm talking to myself, like, I cannot compare myself to what other people are doing. And I can't complain about what I'm not getting, right? I got to look at myself in the mirror and say, what do I, really, really want? How bad do I want it? And what am I willing to do to get what I want? And is my big why big enough? Is it really that important to me?
Yep. That's a big one.
Yep.
I think a lot of people have to ask themselves that question.
True.
Well, cool.
So what time is Masterminds today?
10.
Okay. When
are people supposed to lead generate with all these Zoom calls, man?
Thank you.
So that's why we're doing one on Tuesdays at 3 and one on Thursdays at 10. So, because if you're generating every morning and that's your only lead generation time, that's fine. You don't have to be on the calls. But shaking up your lead generation time will usually put you in touch with more people. So
that's true. I have discovered that.
Are they the same, the two masterminds?
No,
the 10 and the 3?
They're different.
Okay. I thought so. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, it's Tuesday at 3 and Thursday at 10. And I have not, I don't have a featured guest. I didn't have a featured guest at all this week because I just wanted to see who would jump on, who had thoughts and everything else. So I'm going to do a little bit on the call today, just showing some virtual listing stuff and just see who else has some stuff to contribute.
Cool.
So we'll see where it goes. Next week, I'm going to start trying to get, good guests on there, whether they're local or regional or whatever, and start talking about some things. And really, I want to try to get some people outside the office on there too.
Right.
Let them see what we're doing.
Yeah, I need some help with that virtual. I need to do 2 of our properties, and I just haven't ventured out yet.
Yeah, we can talk about it on the mastermind.
All right. Well, let me go smile and dial if I got to be back
Cool.
on at 10. Y'all have a great day.
Go get after it. See
Bye.
you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Are we all jumping on?